Welcome to the Jenna Ellis Show, sponsored by Legacy Precious Metals. There has never been a better time to invest in precious metals. Visit legacypminvestments.com. That's legacypminvestments.com.
As a constitutional law attorney, former senior legal advisor, and personal counsel to President Donald J. Trump, Jenna Ellis believes in the rule of law and the importance of integrity in our elections. And she's ready to tackle the big cultural and legal issues facing America. This is the Jenna Ellis Show. Here is your host, Jenna Ellis.
Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of the Jenna Ellis Show. I'm Jenna Ellis, and so much to talk about, but one of the biggest issues that I don't think is getting enough national attention in terms of the process, how the process is being totally violated, and how Republicans in the state of Texas are basically undermining all of their voters for the statewide office and elected official of their Attorney General Ken Paxton, is, of course, the impeachment proceedings against Attorney General of the state of Texas, Ken Paxton. And if you haven't been following this, Matt Rinaldi today is my guest. He is the chairman of the Republican Party of Texas, and we're going to detail and outline exactly why the Republicans are doing this in the state house, what his view is on that, and then also the process, how it should be done, and how they are totally violating the process. And this appears to be totally political. And you know, you and I were all there when we've seen this on the federal level with the two sham impeachments of President Trump, and how Democrats then just ignored the process, made it totally political, and tried to impeach President Trump for their own political purposes. And now the Republicans in the state of Texas are actually compromising with the Democrats, and they've actually gone ahead and impeached Attorney General Ken Paxton. I mean, this is just totally absurd. And Matt Rinaldi released this statement on May 27th, so just 3 days ago. He said, the Texas House today, in a politically motivated impeachment driven by Democrats, voted to suspend our Republican Attorney General from office pending a state trial. It did so without considering any direct evidence, without allowing legislators to interview or cross-examine witnesses, without placing witnesses under oath, without allowing members to talk to investigators, without making witness transcripts available to legislators, without subpoenaing witnesses with direct knowledge of allegations, and without allowing the Attorney General to present evidence or argument. The result of this indefensible process was to impeach based solely on accusations, hearsay, rumor, innuendo, and speculation. We thank President Trump, Senator Cruz, and the 23 House Republicans, including the two most senior House Republicans who stood against House leadership and the sham of an impeachment. We expect a fairer process in the Republican-controlled Senate. So that is the statement from Chairman of the Republican Party of Texas, Matt Rinaldi, and he will join me to discuss this even more in depth right after this. With inflation, the banking world collapse, and everything that Joe Biden is doing not to protect America, you need to make sure to secure your financial health, especially in retirement. And hey, if you're a millennial like me, that actually is sooner than you think. You need to start now, even if you are a millennial or a Gen Zer, to make sure that your financial health is actually healthy when we get to retirement. And Legacy Precious Metals has a revolutionary new online platform that allows you to invest in gold and silver online in real time. In a few easy steps, you can open an account online, select your metals of choice, and choose to have them stored in a vault or shipped right to your door. You'll have access to a dashboard where you can track your portfolio growth in real time anytime. You'll see transparent pricing on each coin and bar, and this puts you in complete control of your money. The platform is free to sign up for. Visit legacypminvestments.com and open your account and see this new investing platform for yourself. Gold hedges against inflation and against a volatile stock market. A truly diversified portfolio isn't just more stocks and bonds. but different asset classes. This brand new platform allows you to make investments in gold and silver, no matter how small or large, with just a few clicks. Visit legacypm.com to get started. You can download the free investor's guide, and you can also call Legacy PM Investments to talk to a portfolio expert to get expert answers to customize your personal portfolio. So visit legacypminvestments.com to get started. Tell them that Jenna sent you. All right. So joining me now is Matt Rinaldi, who is the chairman of the Republican Party of Texas. And Matt, great to talk with you, because I think for a lot of people, this seemed like this impeachment just came out of nowhere. But you've been very involved in the political scene in Texas, and with the state house and the Republican Party, obviously, as the chairman of the Republican Party of Texas. So what is the landscape there, and what's actually going on that led up to this impeachment?
Yeah, and I was a member of the state house for 4 years, from 2015 to 2019. So I had kind of an inside in and outside view. What led up to this impeachment is something that's been going on in Texas for many years, which is unlike any other state in the country, unlike any other legislative body in the country, the Texas House voluntarily shares power with Democrats, even though Republicans are the majority party. So what does that mean? That means, like, if this were Congress, you would have Kevin McCarthy taking over and appointing like Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff to chair committees. They would be driving impeachments of Republican officials. It's absolutely absurd. It's something we fought against all session. So what happened was Dave Phelan took over as Speaker last session. He had to make concessions to Democrats, as he does every session, to keep becoming Speaker in this political climate here in Texas. And apparently, he's offered up the Attorney General as part of his concessions to Democrats this session. And conservatives and the Republican Party of Texas were fighting back against that right now.
So this just seems totally absurd, because then you don't really have an elected Republican Party. You have this, concession that they're using impeachment as a political tool for a separate branch that duly elected its own officer. And so this just seems like there are a lot of different defenses that Ken Paxton could use to say that this is just a completely political process with no basis in law or fact.
No, I mean, and I think it fails up front because there's no basis for it as a matter of law. The impeachment was completely inadequate. There was no testimony heard. I mean, we saw in the Trump impeachment, there were days of testimony and witnesses and being cross-examined. There was none of that. There was a report produced by people hired by the legislature. And those people who were hired were former prosecutors connected to a Democrat member of the General Investigating Committee. So these Democrats conducted an investigation. The members did not know how it was conducted. They did not get to talk directly to the witnesses. They didn't get to cross-examine witnesses. They heard no direct evidence. They heard what effectively was double and triple hearsay. And it took 4 hours on one day, and then they voted to impeach Ken Paxton.
That is just beyond a sham and utterly ridiculous. And anyone who cares about the law and fact finding and just genuine legitimacy in the process should be totally horrified about this, whether or not this is a Republican or a Democrat. I mean, if this was being done by Republicans against a Democrat, I would have the same issue with it, because we're not supposed to weaponize a legal process like this. I mean, and this is quasi-judicial. I mean, I remember having all of these arguments, Matt Rinaldi, during the first Trump impeachment, which was the first impeachment that the country had gone through since, of course, Bill Clinton. And so for a lot of us, it was really the first one that we remembered, at least, my age group and younger. But these types of things should never be done to weaponize the process, even if it's only quasi-judicial and there are some political motives, perhaps. You still have to have in an impeachment an underlying legal basis, and you still have to go according to and proceed according to the process. And my understanding, and you and I spoke on my radio show this morning, and you had confirmed this, but still go through this with me here for the Salem audience, that there's actually a statute in the state of Texas that basically precludes any claims that would have been verifiable or anything that happened prior to an election. It has to be within the tenure of that elected official. And so all of this with Ken Paxton is from years ago. And the voters of the state of Texas knew all about this. They knew about these allegations and they elected him anyway.
Yeah, there's a statute in Texas in the government code that prohibits a state officer from being impeached for acts committed prior to their election to office. Now, somewhat ambiguous, right? Is it prior to them taking office or is it prior to their last term of being elected? The Texas Supreme Court in 1925 decided that statute means prior to being elected the most recent time. They said each term in office is unique and you are reelected to office. You are now taking office again for purposes of the statute. So anything prior to that election can't be a basis for impeachment. And that's about 100 years of consistent precedent from the Supreme Court saying that. The only thing I saw from the House that even addressed this issue was they said, well, Governor Ferguson was impeached for some things prior to his term. That's getting completely unclear. I mean, it was in 1917 that the governor was impeached, Governor Ferguson. It appears that it was for things that occurred during the term in which he was impeached. And in any event, it appears that that impeachment predated the statute that we're talking about here. In any event, it certainly predated that Supreme Court case in 1925.
Right. And so that's just totally reaching, it seems like, for the House. And hopefully Ken Paxton and his lawyers that are defending this will put forward a motion to dismiss or a motion for a directed verdict or, something along those lines with the Senate. But talk about that process a little bit in terms of, who actually presides and the composition of the Senate and how they create their own rules, because this isn't precisely analogous to what we all went through twice with President Trump in terms of the federal impeachment according to the U.S. Constitution. This is the state of Texas, so it looks a little bit different. Yeah,
and there's very little precedent for it. So we've had, two impeachments, 1917 and 1975. And I believe there were two impeachments that were even attempted that didn't go through. One was of a University of Texas trustee recently in 2015. And the second one was about 100 years ago, and it was unclear as to why they decided not to pursue the impeachment. So you basically have four instances. There are some statutes that say that testimony is necessary, that evidence is necessary in the House. They didn't follow that. So they set new precedent in the House. And I hope the Senate sets a precedent where you have an organized process, unlike the House. It's deliberate. You hear witness testimony. If you get past this original judgment as a matter of law stage, you hear witness testimony and allow the defense to present an argument, because that didn't happen in the House. Like a couple House members said. And by the way, the House members who opposed this came from moderate side of the aisle, conservative side of the aisle. They tended to be lawyers because lawyers were just aghast at this process. And they had said, please don't let this set precedent for future legislators, because this is just terrible precedent to be setting.
And that totally makes sense. I mean, if we can just as a state legislature or even as, the federal Congress can just willy-nilly sort of oust people whenever they happen to either run afoul of what we prefer and go above the electorate, or they're just a casualty in some kind of concession war with the opposing party, then it really doesn't mean anything to genuinely get to select and prefer our leaders and have elections, because then they can just kind of be overturned at the whim of whatever the impeachment managers want. So,
Right.
we've talked about the House side and, some of the ways that they are working with the Democrats. And so on the Senate side, does it look the same in the state of Texas, or are you more confident that they will be more level-headed and look a little further down the line at what damaging precedent this could set for both parties and for the state?
Far, far more confident than the Senate. The Senate has been a model of conservative governance and what conservatives would expect under the leadership of Dan Patrick. The Senate has operated differently because when Lieutenant Governor Patrick took over, they also had shared leadership with Democrats in the Senate under the previous administration. And Lieutenant Governor Patrick immediately ended that and stopped sharing a significant portion of these committee chairmanships with Democrats and refused to pass bills unless they had majority Republican support. What you'd expect, what the U.S. Congress does, what most other legislatures do. And they've operated differently because of it. And they've been a model of conservative governance.
Yeah, well, that's really encouraging. Hopefully, this will get, kind of nipped in the bud there, even though it's gone down, crazy off the rails. And I think this should be a much bigger story nationally than it is. And it seems like, a lot of the media are just viewing this as totally political rather than looking at some of the procedure, which was my frustration, as someone who then worked for Trump during the first impeachment. And that was my frustration, seeing that the media tends to treat this, a lot of these things as purely political instead of recognizing a lot of the precedent and some of the legal issues and the problems that come from that. I mean, we even saw that in the 2020 election aftermath, that there was so much commentary on just the political side. If you like Trump, you didn't, whatever, then that kind of dictated the view instead of looking at the legal and the process, which, I still to this day am very concerned about. And so in terms of timing of the process, Matt Rinaldi, you've said that this is set for August, I believe, in terms of the trial. And is there anything that could happen more quickly than that, like a type of motion to dismiss, or what's kind of the timeline? Because Ken Paxton is out of office right now, pending this trial.
Yeah. And I think what they said was by August. So it could happen anytime. I think that was the limit that they set. So what I would expect is something to happen before. I would hope that the Senate asks for briefing on the law, on the sufficiency of the House impeachment first, and forces the prosecutors to clear that hurdle before they proceed to hearing evidence, because that can make quick work of this. But if they don't, I do hope it's a fairer process than the House. One of the things you brought up also is the legal process versus the political process. I was aghast at some of the statements of the Republican legislators who voted for impeachment, and they just show an ignorance of the law and of the sufficiency of evidence in process that's really staggering. I mean, they're saying, well, we have an investigation that concluded this, and that was our basis. Like an investigation, a third party talked to people and then relayed that through a committee and then to the members with no chance for cross-examination, no chance for defense. They weren't even provided the witness statements. So how are you going to evaluate that evidence when you weren't even allowed to question witnesses? They don't even know if the witnesses were sworn in.
I mean, this is just, again, total absurdity. And there's no other justification than politics, because they clearly don't have any evidence to go on. And so
think of it this way, too. I mean, in their defense to that was, well, we have affidavits as sworn testimony. As you know, as a lawyer, you can't even get a temporary injunction in a civil case based on affidavits. And they're impeaching the highest ranking law enforcement officer in the state and suspending him from office based on that. And that alone.
Wow, that's incredible. And it's patently unfair as well to Ken Paxton and to all of the people who voted him into office. I mean, this is a statewide office, and I remember, that election that went to a runoff, and I was on in my personal capacity endorsed Ken Paxton for reelection. I think he's done an excellent job for the state of Texas, and so for everyone who supported him, donated, came out and voted for him, and even for the people who didn't, I mean, he still represents the state. This is just something that should not be happening. And so is there a process by which people who voted for this impeachment against process and without evidence and all of these things, can they be held accountable, or is really the measure of accountability just the quickest that Ken Paxton can dispense with the sham proceedings? I mean, what does accountability really look like?
I mean, I think accountability comes in the primary in March. That's when Republicans get to make their voices heard, and they get to do a job review of their Republican representatives, many of whom voted for this, and many of whom didn't and stood up and stood against the speaker, who was actually whipping votes in an impeachment, which is shocking alone, whipping votes in a legal proceeding. But you get to give job reviews in March, and if your rep stood against it, you should be out there supporting them, block walk for them, support them. And if they did vote for this, make your voice heard. See if they have a challenger. Run yourself. Make your voice heard.
Yeah, absolutely. And, for everyone who's listening who is a voter in the state of Texas, call your senator and tell them what you think. And for everyone who is outside of Texas, like me in the great state of Florida, make sure that your legislators, your congressman, your governor know who you are and participate in the process, participate in your local party. That's why we have, people who are also willing to be, chairpersons of the parties in the state, like you, Matt, who have been there, who understand how it works. And, what other, just in closing thoughts, and I really appreciate your time, what advice would you have to people listening to this to say, they want to participate in this and they're just not sure what the best avenue is? What can and should they be doing to best participate and to say, hey, this is not something that reflects well on us and the system, and we don't want you to be violating the process like this?
Look at how your rep voted. Call your state rep, call your state senator and tell them what you think about the impeachment, because they'll be deciding it very soon. And go on www.texasgop.org, which is our party website. Sign up to receive our emails, and we'll keep you updated as to what's going on.
Excellent. Well, Matt Rinaldi, thank you so much for your time, and really appreciate all the great work that you have done in the state of Texas, and look forward to having you on again soon. So thanks so much.
Sounds good. Thank you.
With inflation, the banking world collapse, and everything that Joe Biden is doing not to protect America, you need to make sure to secure your financial health, especially in retirement. And hey, if you're a millennial like me, that actually is sooner than you think. You need to start now, even if you are a millennial or a Gen Zer, to make sure that your financial health is actually healthy when we get to retirement. And Legacy Precious Metals has a revolutionary new online platform that allows you to invest in gold and silver online in real time. In a few easy steps, you can open an account online, select your metals of choice, and choose to have them stored in a vault or shipped right to your door. You'll have access to a dashboard where you can track your portfolio growth in real time anytime. You'll see transparent pricing on each coin and bar, and this puts you in complete control of your money. The platform is free to sign up for. Visit legacypminvestments.com and open your account and see this new investing platform for yourself. Gold hedges against inflation and against a volatile stock market. A truly diversified portfolio isn't just more stocks and bonds, but different asset classes. This brand new platform allows you to make investments in gold and silver, no matter how small or large, with just a few clicks. Visit legacypm.com to get started. You can download the free investor's guide, and you can also call Legacy PM Investments to talk to a portfolio expert to get expert answers to your to customize your personal portfolio. So visit legacypminvestments.com to get started. Tell them that Jenna sent you. Have you ever picked up a towel set because it felt so soft in the store, but then when you leave and you go to use it, it's not really that absorbent? It's basically a towel that is leaving you out to dry. That's why MyPillow has developed the MyPillow towels, towels that actually work. I know, it's totally mind-blowing. Towels that actually dry you. Their 6-piece towel set includes 2 bath towels, 2 hand towels, and 2 washcloths. They come in a variety of colors. I have the sage green and the white. I love them. And right now you can receive a 6-piece set for only $39.98 with promo code Jenna. That's JENNA. So go to mypillow.com right now and click on the radio listeners special. MyPillow products come with a 10-year warranty and have a 60-day money-back guarantee. So to receive this amazing offer on the 6-piece towel set of MyPillow towels, just go to mypillow.com, click on the radio listeners special, and enter promo code Jenna, that's JENNA, or call 1-800-564-8475. That's mypillow.com, promo code Jenna.